Hey, what's going on? Today is Tuesday, September the 2nd, 2025. I've got a special treat here. My son, John, he lives in San Marcos, California. He's 43 years old. He's a sports fan, and I'm a sports fan. We're gonna talk to him. He's gonna ask me some questions, okay? So on my YouTube channel, this is my hobby. I'm in retirement. It's kind of fun. Why not? So, John, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm doing an impromptu interview. This is not prepared in any way. My father wants me to interview him. What do you think of what's coming down the line in Major League Baseball in regards to there being no umpires calling balls and strikes, which this is the future, and there'll be an automated strike zone?
That's a very tough question, John. I'm a very traditionalist. I followed baseball. I've read a lot of baseball books. I hate it. I'll admit it. I want the umpire to call balls and strikes. They've been doing it for 150 years, ever since the 1870s. Don't give me a machine and then, if it's up and down, left or right, they've got a box. Come on, we're not going to get into a robotic baseball game. We want the live interaction between the ball player, the pitcher, the hitter, and the umpire. And if he misses a call, that's part of the game for 150 years. So no, I hate that. I hate it.
What do you think of Rob Manfred in the spring meetings floating the idea of getting rid of the American and National League and putting the Mets, Yankees, and Red Sox, that type of grouping, in divisions rather than American and National League, but rather a regional divisional thing?
I think Rod Manfred is the worst commissioner in the history of baseball. I thought Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis was the worst because he didn't allow black players to play in the 1920s and 30s and 40s while he was commissioner. He could have. So he was a jerk. I think Manfred is the biggest jerk of all. He puts a man on second base in the 10th inning. For 150 years, you had to earn a run, right? If the ball game went to extra innings, you have to earn the run in order to win the game by putting a man on second base. So the guy hits a ground ball to second, so the guy advances to third. The next guy hits a ground ball to second, and the run scored. That's ridiculous. So your question about getting rid of a National and American League is ridiculous. I am not for that. I don't mind interleague play, but come on, you want the New York Yankees playing the Miami Marlins on Labor Day
They do that
weekend.
every year anyways.
Yeah, they're doing that now. I don't know. I like Yankees, Mets, but if you're going to get rid of divisions, no, I don't like it. Just keep it the way it's been going. So don't mess too much up with it, Rod Manfred. If I had a vote, I'd get you out of there and get someone with more common sense.
All right. Can you answer me a question? Why is it that Barry Bonds is still considered the all-time home run leading batter?
Barry Bonds was a very good player. I saw him play in Candlestick Park in San Francisco. I admired his swing. He's got an excellent home run swing. Now, 762 home runs is the record right now, but he's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Why? Because something's going on with the PEDs and the performance-enhancing drug era. I don't know the full story. I'd like to hear Barry's side and the other side, but for some reason, he's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So something went on. As far as, him still being the home run leader of all time, I consider Babe Ruth the best baseball home run hitter of all times. He had 714 home runs, and he did it in 14 years. Barry Bonds played 22 years, and he got 762. Henry Aaron played 23 years. He got 755. If the Babe Ruth, who pitched the first 5 years, those were prime years. If he had played regularly those first 5 years, he would have had another, let's say he averaged 40 a year. 40 times 5, that's 200 more home runs. He would have had 914. Barry Bonds was a good home run hitter, but he's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame for a reason. If you ask me, should he be in the Baseball Hall of Fame? I'd say yes. Put him in, have a wing of the Hall of Fame, put under his information that he had trouble with the PEDs, but he needs the Baseball Hall of Fame. As far as the record, I don't follow the record 762. I say the record is 714 Babe Ruth.
So about why you laugh? So about 80%. I don't know the exact number, but about 80% of the league is now making the playoffs every year. While in the NFL, there is a way higher turnover rate between the good and bad teams. Do you think to help teams, small market teams, like the Rays, the Kansas City Royals, etc., baseball should finally adopt a salary cap? So teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees and now the Padres and all these teams that have the Mets that have $1 billion don't have unfair advantages where they could spend as much money as they possibly want every year and then get into the playoffs every single year. Should baseball have a salary cap?
Yes, absolutely yes. I do not agree with Dodgers and Yankees spending all that money, giving $700 million to Ohtani, and then the Mets giving $700 million plus to Soto, and then you've got these other teams that can't compete, and very rarely do they get into the playoff. Like, look at the Colorado Rockies right now. I think they're on pace for 100 losses this 2025 season. Yes, NFL does have the salary cap. Basketball, the NBA, they have the salary cap too, right? They restrict. They have a certain limit. I think in baseball, what they try to do is say, well, no salary cap, but we'll tax you if your payroll is so much. That's not going to hurt the Dodgers. They can pay the tax. The Yankees can pay the tax. They've got the TV revenues and all that. Yes, have a cap and see if we can, have parity in the league. In fact, I'd like to see the Seattle Mariners get into the World Series.
And the Mets owner has more money than God. You know that, right?
Ridiculous.
Why is it that the trend for baseball is going away from things like a starting pitcher, pitching a complete game?
Oh, yeah.
Why is it that every reliever has to throw 100 miles an hour and that wears him out where you can only pitch an inning? So now you have 25 relievers every game. Why is it that players get paid for hitting 30 home runs, but they don't get paid for hitting 330? Do you think that modern baseball has become who could throw it the hardest and who could hit it the furthest despite striking out and making the game a little staler? Is there any way to get away from that?
Very excellent question. I'll have to give props to my son, John, who's 43 years old, and he doesn't want to be on the video. So if you're wondering why we don't see his face, he told me specifically he'll ask questions.
What does this have to do with the question?
He specifically said he'll ask me questions, but he doesn't want to be on the video. So I like that question. I am a traditionalist. Excuse me. 1870s, the baseball got going. You know what those pitchers did? There's Johnny. All right, I got him on the video, but he didn't want to be a full time on the video. That's my son Johnny. He's 43 years old. Lives in San Marcos, California. If you want to look him up, okay.
North San Diego. San Diego.
He's a Padre fan. I'm a Dodger fan. Okay. All right, the question. 1870s, those pitchers went 9 innings. Now, did they throw 100? Probably not. They probably threw 80 or 90 miles an hour. But they pitched 9 innings, and they won 20, 30, 40. There was one guy named Charlie Radburn won 60 games. All right, so that was the 1870s, 1880s, 1890s. Even after the turn of the century, you had ball players 9 innings, 10 innings. There were 2 guys that pitched 26 innings in one game. That was ridiculous. But if they could do that, and if Cy Young can win 511 games, and Walter Johnson has over 400 wins, and Greg Maddux, he was in our present new school era here after the 1980s. Greg Maddux pitched. He has 355 wins. Bob Gibson, you think Bob Gibson wanted to come out of the game after 9 innings? No, he wanted the complete game victory. He wanted the shutout. In fact, he had 13 shutouts one year. So what's going on in today's 2025? You guys pitching 5 innings, they get credit. If the team is ahead after 5 innings and he has 5 innings pitched, and then the relievers come and finish the last 4 innings, if the team wins the game, he gets credit for that win. I think that is ridiculous. I like to see pitchers today. I know sometimes some of these pitchers have 120 pitches after 5 innings. That is their fault. They need to be economical, just like Greg Maddux. Did you know that Greg Maddux, he pitched one game where he had 90 pitches, and he had 9 innings, and he had a shutout. What was he doing? He'd throw that first strike, or he'd nibble on the corner, and then he'd get the guy to hit the ground ball to second, and he only had 10 pitches an inning. So if you go 9 innings, try to average 10 or 15 pitches an inning. Then you can get complete games. But Clayton Kershaw, for some reason, he has to throw 80 pitches by the 5th inning. Why? So, to answer the question, today's pitching is out of control. The relievers, 100 miles an hour. And then you had the question about the batters. Nobody's winning a batting title. In fact, did you know today's age, 2025, the guy who's leading the National League in batting is batting 300. His name is Freddie Freeman. He's leading the league in batting at 300. Ty Cobb and Roger Hornsby would laugh. They were batting 400 in the month of September. How about Teddy Ballgame? He finished 406 in 1941. Today's ball players, they don't know how to maintain their batting average over 300. We have hundreds of players right now who are batting in the 200s. The guy in the American League right now is Judge, right? He's batting 325, and he's leading the league. This is embarrassing. Tony Gwynn was in the 350s. Did you know Tony Gwynn had 6 years in a row over 350? I think it was 5 or 6, if I want to be accurate. Tony Gwynn finished 338 career batting average, and he had 20 years. This is what I'd like to see. Batters batting 300, 350, 375. Let's see a 400 batting average. Come on, I want to see it. And I want to see pitchers winning 20 to 30 games. I want to see them pitching shutouts, 9 innings. I want them 300 innings a year. If the guys in the past, if they did it, why can't we do it today? Because the batters are better? The athletes are better? Maybe. Okay, I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, if you're swinging for the fences every pitch, you're not going to bat over 300.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, Daddy.
Okay.
We've seen an unbelievable rise in Hispanic players and Asian-born players.
Okay.
And an unbelievable decrease in black players.
Oh, man.
Who used to be, growing up for me, some of my favorite players.
Oh, yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr., Tony Gwynn, etc. What do you attribute to some of our best athletes deciding to play other sports and shying away from baseball, especially in the last 20, 30 years?
Excellent question. Yes. In fact, Jackie Robinson got going in baseball in 1947. But you know what happened in the 1950s? A lot of black players came up. You had Henry Aaron, Willie Mays, Ernie Banks. And then in the 1970s, you get the pitchers, Bob Gibson. He was really good. And then in the 80s and 90s, you got Willie Stargell. And then you get a Barry Bonds there in the 1990s. 2000, something happened. You're right. I think black players from the suburbs, the inner cities, I think they were playing more basketball on the hard courts versus going to the sandlots. And then they were also playing football. You notice golf doesn't have much black players. And then in soccer, I don't know what's going on there. And then in hockey, I don't think you have much black players. Baseball had them, and then it kind of decreases. I don't always see it. I mean, I'd love to have seen Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige, some of those guys, Oscar Charlton. I would love to have seen them play.
Why are they playing baseball? Why?
I think they're not going out to the sandlots or they're not going out to the minor leagues. I think they're not going as they used to in the past. You know what? Basketball got going in the 1940s, right? 1940s or 50s. And then football with the Super Bowl. You know, the first Super Bowl was in the 1967 season. So I think the trend is that you saw the 70s and 80s football rise in popularity. Basketball, the NBA, everyone saw Michael Jordan. And they loved him, and the black players go, hey, I want to be just like Mike. In fact, there was a commercial, be like Mike, be like Mike. So I think the trend was, hey, basketball and football, let's go for that instead of baseball. Well, you had Henry Aaron and Willie Mays in the 60s and 70s. But during that time, you didn't have Michael Jordan and you didn't have the football Super Bowls in the 60s and 70s. So I think what happened after the year 2000, turn of the century, basketball and football kind of overtook baseball. And so maybe that answers the question. Maybe there's somewhere else there's an answer. But baseball is not the only one affected by not having the black players. Look at golf. Look at hockey. Tennis. How many players you see winning the tennis Grand Slams? So I think the black players, I think they're excellent athletes. I think they like basketball and football. A lot of these guys in the colleges. I don't know if that answers the question.
Well, I got to give you a money question.
Okay.
What's going on with the affordability of baseball? It used to be a game that you could bring your family to. I mean, I understand football only has, 9 home games a year or something?
Yeah.
So I understand that could be pricey. But when there's, what is there, 80 or 90 home games? Something for each team has how many? A lot of home games.
In football?
Baseball.
Oh, in baseball, they have 80 home games. 81. 162
Why
games.
is it a family can only afford to go to one game a year if that? Will you think the prices will eventually push families away from the game?
It's pushed my family away because I was a baseball nut. I went to Dodger games in the 60s and 70s. And then when I moved to San Diego County, I went to Padre games. I went to one Angels game, which is close by. But you know what? I'm a baseball nut. I haven't gone to a baseball game in 2 years because the Padre tickets are ridiculous. You pay $20 to park, okay? Then if you have a family of 4, so a husband and wife and 2 kids, if you want to sit in the lower levels, it's about $95 to $100 per ticket. So times 4 is $400. So I'm up to $420. If you want to have lunch, maybe eat at Bill's Barbecue in the park, that's $15 to $16 per, so that's another $60. I'm up to $480. If I want to buy a souvenir, that's $20. If I want to buy a jersey, it's $250. If I want to buy a baseball bat, that's $300. I could spend, with a family of 4, $500 for a game. That's why I don't like Ron Manfred, that commissioner. He needs to say, hey, ball clubs, lower the ticket prices. Do we need to pay Otani $700 million? Do we need to pay Soto $760 million for 10 or 15-year careers? Do we need to pay a relief pitcher who has 30 innings for the entire year, pay him $15 million? Do we need to play Clayton Kershaw $10 million and he wins 4 games in 1 year? Why am I picking on Clayton? Because the last 4 or 5 years he's been tanking. This year he's got 9 wins. But yeah, do these players? They signed Fernando Tatis $300 million for I think 12 years. So he's on the Padres. I will not go to a Padre game because Fernando Tatis is no Babe Ruth. He's no Lou Gehrig. He's no Henry Aaron or Willie Mays. He's just an average guy. His batting average is 265. He'll hit maybe 30 homers, maybe get 85 RBIs. Sorry, Fernando, to pick on you. There's other guys that are tanks. Do we need to pay them millions and millions? And you know what? They just play 6 months a year. What do they do the other 6 months? So yes, John, to answer your question, ticket prices are ridiculous. I used to go to a game. I have 4 kids and my wife. We went to Candlestick Park. It was $10 a ticket, and we sat in the lower level. We saw Barry Bonds. He had a walk-off single in the 9th inning. It was exciting. Bases are loaded. The game was tied. Barry came to the plate. We were in the low level. We saw him come to the plate, and he smacked a base hit into right field and won the game, and the crowd went wild. So I had my wife and 4 kids. I spent $60. When we went and got a hamburger or a hot dog at the park, I think it was like $3 or $4 a hot dog. So maybe I spent another 20. So maybe $80. And parking was only $5. So if that answers your question, ticket prices are out of control. And I want to go to ball games, but I'm not going. Even with my wife and I, if we just went, it's probably $200. So forget it. Okay.
I know following the strike, when was that, 94? What year was that?
1994 was the strike.
It's widely reported that the baseball was juiced along with the players. And I think baseball did that on purpose, right? To bring the fans back, make it more exciting. What would you do? Because I know that I was in Vegas recently in the preseason football game between the Chargers and Lions. There were 6 million people that watched it. What would you do to baseball? Because I agree with the speeding up of the game. It's made life so much better as far as viewing baseball.
Okay.
Are there any other changes that you would give baseball where you could bring in the audience, the American audience, to watch the games and not just have football dominate viewership for sports in this country?
I would educate people on the game of baseball and how hard it is. I play baseball myself, and just the challenge of the pitcher versus the hitter. If people
What do you
really
mean by that, educate? What do you mean?
I would educate them on the history of baseball and the game of baseball. If somehow people could play baseball themselves, let's say a family picnic, and you get a game going in a baseball diamond. You get out there and you actually play the game, and if you can get the feeling yourself of hitting a base hit or even hitting a home run in one of those even pickup games, I think you would love baseball more. So I would educate on also the history of the game. I would somehow let people know this game has been going on since the 1870s. Look at all the World Series winners. Look at all the famous players from the past, and then also educate them on the players today and say, hey, I think people in generally speaking admire talent. I mean, if they watch TV and they go to movies and they recognize talent, right? Movie stars have talents, they can act. And then what's that show, American Idol? Why do people watch that? Because they want to see talent. So in baseball, if you could I mean, look at a guy like Aaron Judge. He's 6'6", and when he hits a home run, that is talent. I mean, he swings. Look at guys who are very good pitchers. They know how to pitch, and if somehow the fans, actually right now, a lot of fans do attend games, but as far as watching on TV, maybe they get bored. Sometimes I get bored because if you see a 250 hitter up there getting 30 million, that just bothers me. Somehow, to me, I'm going to keep watching the game. Why? Because I like the challenge of it. I like the talent. I like the pitcher versus the hitter confrontation. And I love the World Series because you get the two teams, the best of the year. If you watch a World Series game, I mean, remember last year, Dodgers and Yankees? And Dodgers didn't really have a lot of good players, maybe a couple here and there. Ohtani didn't do much, but you had other players kind of step up. I like that challenge. And the Dodgers pulled it out. They won the series in 5 games. Yankees were trying their best too. I like the challenge of baseball. It's a very difficult question. How do you get people come back to the ballpark and watch the game? What I do like about baseball is, let's say you're watching a game at home. Commercials are only about 2 minutes because in between innings, they have shortened down the time, and the game is sped up. In football, I don't like it when you have 10 commercials. And in basketball, they do that too. Too many timeouts, and it kind of slows that down. So it's hard to watch that. Golf, same thing. You're watching, and they'll go to a commercial when the guy's on the 15th hole and he's tied. Why are you going to commercial? Let's play it out. So, that one thing baseball does have an advantage is the commercials between innings are very short, 2 minutes.
Well, I got to ask you a Pete Rose question.
Yikes.
It was widely reported that Pete Rose, he only bet on his team to win. He never tanked a game to win a bet, which is different than the Black Sox.
Right.
What do you think is worse, what Pete Rose did or what the steroid users did? And why is a man like Pudge Rodriguez in the Hall of Fame when it was proven that he did steroids, and Pete Rose, who lived, 82 years? 83 years?
Yeah, he died recently.
They refused to put him in the Hall of Fame. Well, why is that? And what do you think is worse?
Let's see. As far as the gambling with Pete Rose, I read his autobiography, and I read another book from a interviewer who interviewed Pete through all those years. So I've read 2 books on Pete Rose. He bet on his team to win. He did not bet on his team to lose. He was a gamer. He played over 3,500 games, and he just wanted to win. He wouldn't bet on the Cincinnati Reds losing a game. So I believe when Pete says that, he says, I always bet to win. But you know what? He was an excessive gambler. He went to the horse track right after a ball game. In his autobiography, he went bet on that. He bet on football, bet on basketball, hockey, whatever he could do, he bet. And then while you have that kind of a habit, he just did it with the baseball games too, thinking, hey, he can get away with it. Pete, you tanked on that part. You shouldn't have done that hurt your Hall of Fame chances. But if I had a vote, I'd put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Again, put something under his plaque that he had trouble with the gambling era and all that. But he deserves the Baseball Hall of Fame. As far as which is worse, steroids or gambling, again, the steroids are very sketchy. You got PEDs. Does the drug help you hit a ball out of the park?
Yes.
You say it does. As far as how much they used, and I'd say the steroids would be worse than the gambling part. So you got Mark McGwire, you got Sammy Sosa, you got Rafael Palmeiro, you got Alex Rodriguez and Barry Bonds. They're all not in the Hall of Fame, yet they have all the stats and all the accomplishments. They're not in because of the PEDs. But I don't know the full story behind it. How much did they take? Did it help? Did they get the advantage? We don't know. Like you said, Pud Rodriguez, they accuse him. And so how much did he take? How much did it help him? I guess he got voted in because maybe he kind of slipped through the cracks in some of the voting there, where these other guys, they're more well known. They couldn't slip through like Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez has 696 career home runs, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. Isn't that embarrassing? Mark McGwire hit 70 at 1 year, but he had some stuff on the shelf. How many of the 70 did that help? That's the question I have. It's hard to pass judgment, but I'd say steroids are worse than gambling. Gambling, okay, Pete bets, $1,000 that the Reds will win tonight. Now, did he, when he was a manager, did he manipulate the lineup to help his team win that game? Or, see, there's a lot of questions behind that. But Pete Rose did tank, and these guys who took the steroids did tank. But what's the full story? If you talk to Barry, if you talk to Alex and all these guys, they're going to say, hey, yeah, maybe I took some of the stuff. Maybe I took the cream on. Maybe one day I was feeling bad. I took it. But did Mark McGwire's 70 homers, did it help him get out? When he was a rookie, Mark McGwire hit 49 home runs. Did he take it then?
Well, why was he a better player when he was a lot older? That makes no sense, and that's never happened in any sport ever.
Some players can maintain excellence throughout their whole career. Would you agree that the more games you play, maybe the smarter and maybe the better? Obviously, if you're getting older, you got to slow down. But if you play 1,000 games, don't you think you're better than when you played your first year?
You play baseball every Saturday. Are you getting faster or slower?
I'm slowing down. My knees are hurting.
We should take some steroids, and then
I don't want to take steroids at age 70. I'm 70 years old.
Do you want more questions? I'll give you another one.
You could keep going or you can stop. It's up to you. Johnny Boy. This name is Johnny.
Ted Williams.
Oh, Teddy Ballgame.
If he hadn't served his country admirably, I believe he got shot out of the sky a couple times in Korea, right?
Yeah.
Was that 4 years?
He missed 4 years of baseball.
Would he be considered the greatest hitter in history?
No.
Why?
His lifetime batting average, 344. It could have been 350 with those extra 4 years. Yeah, I'll give you that. He would have had more home runs. He hit 521. He could have probably gotten close to 700. He had 1,800 RBIs. He would have been over 2,000 RBIs. He had 2,600 hits, so he'd be about 3,500 hits.
About his batting average career.
Yeah, his batting average was 344 career. But
did he hit over 400?
He hit over 400 only one time, though. He's not the greatest hitter of all time, but he's in the top 5.
Who's better?
Ty Cobb had 366 career batting average, and he did it over 24 years.
But how many home runs?
He only hit 100 home runs. I say the batting average is a much better stat than a home run stat.
And why do people get paid more, going back earlier, for hitting 30 home runs instead of batting 330?
The thrill of the ball going out of the park. But what would you rather have on your team? Would you have a guy hit 50 homers and bat 275? Or would you have a guy who's in the lineup who bats 400 and gives you 100 RBIs? You want a guy, when he comes to the plate, to get on base. Now, the home run hitters, they don't get on his base as much as the 400 batting average.
Would you rather have Ken Griffey Jr. or Ricky Henderson?
I would take Ken Griffey Jr.
Well, then you just went against what you just said.
But Ken Griffey was close to a 300 batting average. Ricky Henderson never. He was a 275 career batting average.
Score every time.
Ricky would get on base and steal the bases. He would walk, but he was not a 300 hitter. He was 275 career. Look it up. But the greatest hitters of all time are the Ty Cobb, who is 366, Roger Hornsby, 358, Joe Jackson, 356, but he got kicked out of baseball after 13 years. I like guys with a batting average. Tony Gwynn, 338. Ted Williams, 344. Teddy is in the top 5. I would say Cobb, Hornsby. Roger Hornsby batted over 400 3 times. Teddy only did it once. But Hornsby played in the 1920s. Ted had to play in the 1940s and 50s. So the era may make a difference there. Ty Cobb has 3 400 batting average seasons. And Ty Cobb played 24 years. He had 23 seasons over 300. 23. Tony Gwynn had 19. Ted Williams had 18 300 batting average seasons. So as far as the greatest hitter, there's a difference between the greatest player and the greatest hitter. Ted Williams is the greatest on-base percentage guy in history. He walked a lot. His on-base percentage was .482. You know what that means? 48% of the time he got on base. Almost half the time Ted Williams got on base.
So he is the greatest hitter. You're answering your own question the more you think about it.
No, the batting average is key, and also Cobb had 4,000 hits. Ted only had 2,600.
What about the 4 years?
The 4 years would give him up to about 3,500 hits if they average it out.
Analytics.
Yeah, analytics.
We're talking analytics for a second. Are we running out of time on your... Is this a podcast or what is this?
It's my YouTube channel. We've got 37 minutes. Why don't we go another 3 and give it an...
All right, 2 more questions. And
40. Let's go for 40 minutes.
2 more questions.
Okay.
Bruce Bochy.
Not bad.
He famously just won the World Series with the Texas Rangers.
Yes.
He used no analytics. Most ballparks and ball clubs, their general managers and owners are referring to analytics and then sending it down to the managers and telling them pretty much what to do.
Yikes.
What do you think of that? And do you think it's a mistake to trust computer algorithms and efficiency? Or should you just trust your instinct and your eye as a coach?
The owner should not bother the manager. If he hires a manager, then he takes care of the ball club. He knows it the best. He knows his players. He knows the hitters. I would go on gut and instinct. Bruce Bochy has 4 World Series titles. Casey Stengel had 10 of them. They didn't have all the computer printouts in the 1950s and 60s. The Yankees, from 1950 to 1964 or whatever it was, won 10 pennants. Yogi Berra has 10 World Series titles. Did they have computer printouts? Did they have analytics? No, but you go by the gut. Tommy Lasorda's got 3 World Series titles. If Tommy Lasorda, if the owner says, Tommy, play that guy in right field, Tommy will say, forget it. I know what I'm doing. I know the guys. See, the managers, they talk with the players day by day by day. The owners do not. The owners are up in their box or they're out on their yacht. But the manager, day by day by day, talk to the players. They say, how you feeling? How you hitting? How you pitching? So I would get rid of the analytics. You don't need the computer printouts. If a guy bats 250 and he only gets 100 hits for the year, you drop him and you pick up somebody else from the minors and give him a try. That's how I would manage. If the guy goes a full season and only hits 10 homers and gives you 50 RBIs and bats 225, you get rid of the guy. And they did that. The Dodgers did that. They had a guy named Chris Taylor on their team. They were paying him millions of dollars. He couldn't get over 230, 240 batting average. They cut him. And they picked up a guy from the minors who was younger. And you know what? Some of these minor guys, when they come up, they can bat 300. So just go by your gut when I answer that question.
All right, last question, Daddy. Pick a position player and a pitcher, one of each. If out of all of Major League Baseball, if you had to start a club and you had a draft, who would you pick, position and pitcher? to start your team out of everyone in the majors right now?
Presently or in the past?
Presently.
Oh, in the present. That is a difficult question. My pitcher.
Is it difficult because you don't like any of the present players?
This is Johnny Boy. Okay, he's the one who's been talking. Okay. Well, it would be smart to pick someone young who's like 20, 22, so you can keep him on the ball in the ball club for the next 15 to 20 years. That's what's the problem with baseball right now is some of the young guys coming up, it takes them a while to get going. So I'm going to have to go with some of the veterans. I would pick Freddie Freeman. I just think he's just the right
To
character.
start your baseball team right now?
Yes, I don't care. Give me 5 years with Freddie, and then if he's retired, he's going to the Hall of Fame. Freddie Freeman is the right kind of baseball player. When he is at the plate, he's a gamer, and he wants to perform. Did you see what he did in the World Series? He hit a grand slam walk-off. No one else in World Series history has a walk-off grand slam home run.
What about a pitcher? You got a pitcher?
Oh, that's a toughie. Which pitchers do I admire right now playing? These guys are only going 5 or 6 innings. You don't see any no-hitters. I want the guys from the past. I need a Koufax who has 4 no-hitters. I need a Nolan Ryan who has 7 no-hitters. I need one of those kind of guys. I need a Greg Maddux. But who right now is pitching? Oh, I tell you what. I'll go with this Japanese guy in the Dodgers.
Yamamoto.
Hey, give me Yamamoto. You know what? I like the guy. Even though he gets beat sometimes, I like when he's up there. He's a gamer. Give me a gamer. All right, Ken Arzone. We're signing out. Thanks, John. Hey, I appreciate the interview.
I love my dad. He's got a good channel here.
Okay. We'll talk to you later, guys. Give me some comments. Talk to you later. Sincerely and respectfully, I am out.